everyone, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a bit of an anti-haul. It's going to be a will I buy it style video where I go through new makeup releases and talk about whether they interest me or not and if I plan to pick them up. However, the twist here is that March is a no-buy month for me. So that means I will absolutely not be buying any of this makeup unless it still piques my interest in April when my low buy month starts. So this is an anti-haul style video because I know that I will not be purchasing these products, so I'm here to talk myself out of buying these new makeup releases and give you reasons why you may not need to purchase them either. Of course, if you want to, go ahead and buy these. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying here are my thoughts on why I will be passing up on them this month of March. So if you're new here, welcome. I'm Morgan. I'm on an alternating no buy and low buy this year. So that means every other month I'm either on a low buy where I'm spending very little money on makeup, or I'm on a no buy where I'm not buying any makeup. So March is a no-buy month for me, hence this anti-haul style video. I'm working on creating a very curated makeup collection, and I'm switching my whole collection over to cruelty-free makeup. So if that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing before you go today. Now let's go ahead and look at some new makeup releases. The accounts that I use to find these new releases will always be linked in the description box below if you are curious. Okay, so I'm starting out on Trend Mood, and there's a lot on here, and I'm just gonna kind of scroll back in time and comment on the things that are most interesting to me. So really recently, it looks like Urban Decay has announced they're releasing Moondust shadows, individual shadows, and 24/7 shadow sticks. Oh, they're all 24/7, I see. 24/7 Moondust shadow, 24/7 shadow, 24/7 shadow stick. Okay, so the Moondust actually looks really pretty. These are like right up my alley. They're like lid topper style shades, and I really, really love those. If you've been on my channel a while, you know I love my ColourPop Super Shock in the shade Amaze because it gives me this effect. And that's actually why I will not be purchasing one of these from Urban Decay, because it's $22 for this single shadow, and that's quite a bit of money. So if I'm gonna spend $22, I'm either going to not spend $22 and find a cheaper alternative for that single shadow, or I'm gonna go to an indie brand. And then the single shadows I'm just completely not interested in at all. Again, I'd go to an indie brand before Urban Decay for a single shadow. But the shadow sticks actually sort of intrigue me. The thing that would stop me though is that they're $26 a piece. That's really crazy. That's a lot of money for one single shadow stick. I would never pay that. I have one shadow stick from e.l.f. in the shade Perfect Pearl, and I actually love it. And I think they're like $3 to $5, somewhere in that range. And it's great quality. It lasts super well on my eyelids. It doesn't crease, it doesn't budge. I'm actually super happy with it. So if I wanted new shadow sticks, I would go back to e.l.f. before I went and spent $26 per color from Urban Decay. Don't get me wrong, I do think they're pretty. I just don't need them, and I especially don't need them at that price point. Okay, let's see. This one I'm gonna have a really hard time not buying. And unfortunately, it comes out on March 2nd. Otherwise, if it came out in February, I think I would have bought this. And this is the Cheek Dew Serum Blush from ColourPop. First of all, look at this shade range. I love this shade range. I think they did a good job of going like from cool to warm and also from light shades to deep shades. So I think there's something here for most skin tones. And the two at the top, Hotline and Tumble For Ya, actually really are drawing me in because I have been on the hunt for a cool toned blush. And I just want it to be pretty like pink or even like leaning mauve. I want something cool toned, and those two shades actually are really calling my name. And I don't see a price here yet on Trend Mood. It just says it's released on March 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the ColourPop website. Yeah, no price. But just knowing ColourPop's general price range, I think that this would be a reasonable price point for me to probably try out a cool tone blush. I just don't really have any cool tone blush, so I want one in my collection, but it's releasing in March, so I won't pick it up at least until April if I'm still interested. Okay, this one's really interesting to me and definitely caught my attention, but maybe not in the best way. This is the Circo Loco Natasha Denona palette. So have you seen this? It like got leaked. I think like they tried to make it be like oh my gosh, oh no, this was seen on the shelves in Sephora and someone saw it and now it's this big surprise reveal. But I kind of didn't like that approach to the release, I guess. I'd rather just have the brand be like, look at this cool thing we're doing, instead of having it be like, oh my gosh, an influencer has to discover this. I don't know, that's just me. I feel weird about it, I guess. I don't know if that's normal. I haven't been in like the makeup community long enough to know if that's like a normal thing to do, but I don't like it personally. The influencer who did see this in their local Sephora said that it's at the $129 price point, but it looks like it's one of the smaller ones. So it kind of feels like she just did this with that like Triochrome palette too, where it was the smaller size, but because it had like special formulations in there, it was at the high price point instead of the $65 price point. And I just will not pay that. I just won't. And this color story actually kind of bothers me. It's like so scrambled to me. I don't I don't like it. And I know you can pop out Natasha Denona shadows and rearrange them how you want in her palettes, so I would absolutely have to do that if I bought this. And like that kind of bothers me because they have shade names printed on the palette. Regardless, I 100% have, I don't know, like at least let's say 13 out of these 15 shades in my Juvia's Place palettes for way, way less. And I know Natasha Denona has great quality, but I really like Juvia's Place formula as well. So I just don't think that this would be a logical purchase for me when I know that I'm more of a neutrals kind of eyeshadow person with some pops of color, which Juvia's Place gives me every time. So Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics has kind of sprung back up and have shown lots of images at this point of the products that they are releasing or re-releasing from, you know, a couple years ago when they kind of put things on hold after some PR nightmares. I'm not going to get into that here. I'm not like a drama commentary channel, but their new products or even like the new formulations of old products look really nice to me. I see here on Trend Mood, they're releasing March 2nd again. So I'm just waiting. March 7th, they'll come to Ulta. And basically there's 7 baked blush and bronzer duos. There are highlighters. They've brought back their highlighters from their initial release and then also added some new ones, including a new loose beaming light, which is like a loose highlighter, is what I understand it to be. And the thing that actually intrigues me the most out of this is the blush and bronzer duos, which is kind of weird for me because normally those are not products that I gravitate towards. Usually I prefer to have like my blush in one product, my bronzer in one product, etc. But I'm really, really drawn to some of these duos. So again, looking at them, I think it's because some are kind of cool toned, and that intrigues me because I've been on the hunt for a cool tone blush. Okay, I'm just gonna touch for a second on the ColourPop and Bambi collab. I actually really love the movie Bambi, and I'm a little sad that I don't love these palettes more. I won't be picking any of them up. They're just color stories that I feel like are not super innovative. I kind of like the Thumper one a little bit. I kind of like the cool tone vibes with the pop of green in there, but I'm pretty sure I could get any of these with shadows that I already have in my collection, so I'm not gonna purchase it just for nostalgia's sake. Oh, the Ofra by Steph Tom's collab of the Milk and Cookies highlight. I am so excited about that. I think it's gorgeous. I mean, like, I absolutely love the 2 shades in this like split pan highlighter. I adore it. I think it's so, so gorgeous, and I'm not gonna buy it, but I wish I was gonna buy it because I think it's unbelievably gorgeous. I really, really love this. The truth of the matter is I just do not need another highlighter right now, and I have these sort of like champagne-y warm tones in my highlighter collection already, so I'm gonna pass on this, but it looks gorgeous, and huge props to her for this collab. Oh, dang it, this is another one that actually I'm really interested in, but I will not buy it. It is the Artist Couture Ethereal Bloom palette. And I think the only reason I'm at all interested in this is because I'm super, super excited to be using springy, summery shades again. So, looks gorgeous. I actually think the color story is super, super beautiful and unique. I feel like I haven't seen anything quite with this sort of a color story before, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I just know myself, and I know I will absolutely never reach for this palette. Even though I think it's gorgeous, they're just not shades that I like personally on my own eyes. So I'm gonna pass on this, but if you are in the market for a beautiful, colorful spring palette, man, that looks gorgeous. Okay, one more on Trend Mood, and then I'm gonna hop over to the Indie Makeup Spotlight account on Instagram, which I love for kind of smaller indie brand releases. So the last one here on Trend Mood from a larger brand is from KVD Vegan Beauty, which I kind of never expected to want to look into, but this is their Good Apple Skin Perfecting Foundation Balm. It's gonna be $38, come in 40 shades, which is a pretty good range. It looks like, it's pretty spread out across the range as well, so that's great. The thing that intrigues me about this is that it's supposed to be full coverage for normal to dry skin. That's me for sure. I'm normal to dry, definitely in the winter on the dry side, and in the summer more normal. And it's supposed to be a fresh matte finish for people like me with dry skin. And the words full coverage and matte finish together make my skin crawl because the thought of putting something drying and thick on my face is like terrifying to me as someone with dry skin. But ultimately, like, here's the deal. I am kind of terrified of the description of matte finish, full coverage. But that's also why I want to try it. I want to know if it works on dry skin. I want to know and be able to tell you all if this actually will work for those of you who are dry skinned. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by that. It releases on March 12th, so I may get it like at the beginning of April if I'm still interested in it then. Okay, quickly over to Indie Makeup Spotlight, run by Amy Loves Makeup here on YouTube. She's great and her content is amazing, and she's definitely an indie makeup queen. So this page is really helpful for me for indie brand news and releases. So I have 3 here that are really standing out to me. The first is the Musée Beauty Le Jardin palette, and it's $28. It's available for pre-order now, and it's again just a gorgeous spring palette. I think I'm just really being like pulled in, drawn into these spring themes because I've been using kind of like darker, grungier colors all fall and winter. So I'm just ready for a change of pace. But exactly the same thing that I said for the Artist Couture Ethereal Blooms palette. I just know myself, and I know I will not use kind of this bright and colorful of a color story often enough to justify getting this palette, but looks absolutely gorgeous. If you are in the market, it looks stunning. And then next up here is the Necromancy Cosmetica Gothic Romance Eyeshadow Palette. This says it's just launching in March. I don't see a date here yet. This is like the opposite end of the spectrum, right? This is what I was just saying. I've been using kind of these more like grungy, dark colors throughout the fall. And so this is just not calling to me at all. I think it's cute. It's very like literary inspired, and I think it's like a really interesting concept, but the color story is just not for me, and especially not for me in spring. That's just my personal preference, but I think it looks really nice, and it's a really cute concept if you're kind of more of a collector and are in it for the packaging. This is gorgeous. The last thing I want to touch on here is a collab palette between Midas Cosmetics and Drench Cosmetics, and those are 2 Black-owned indie brands, so definitely worth checking out both of those brands, even if this palette isn't quite your style, just like it's not quite my style, and I'll tell you why. I think that these are absolutely stunning, gorgeous, deep, like jewel tones. And I think, especially for someone with deeper skin than me, these are like dream shadows. They are absolutely stunning, gorgeous shades. And it looks like you get a lot of good mix between like mattes and shimmers, but they're all kind of in that nice, deep family. That's actually the reason I know I wouldn't use this. So it doesn't make sense for me personally to go out and buy a new palette that's like all those deep dark jewel tones, just because I know how rarely I use them. And I don't think just having a new palette is gonna suddenly inspire me to completely change my makeup aesthetics. But if you're looking to support some Black-owned indie brands, absolutely check out this palette because you'd be supporting 2 different brands at once, and I think that's awesome. Okay, so that's it for this week. I know there were way more releases than that, but I really wanted to touch on kind of the things that were drawing me in and making me very tempted to break my March no buy when these things released in March. So the majority of these products are releasing in March. They're not available yet. And that is exactly why they were perfect candidates for this video, so I could talk myself out of them before they were even on the market. As I said, a couple of those products were super interesting to me and actually seemed like they would have a place in my makeup collection. So if April 1st rolls around and I'm still interested in those particular products, I'll probably go ahead and pick them up. I'm not really worried about being, super late to the game. I think that if it's a good product and it belongs in my collection, then that's okay to buy it a week or 2 or 3 weeks late and review it on my channel at that point. So if you too are willing to kind of have some delayed gratification and wait for some reviews on these products that I mentioned today, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. I have a March lineup that I'm really excited about, using the products that I already own and getting creative with my own makeup. If you did enjoy this video today, please consider giving it a thumbs up and commenting down below to let me know what releases you are super excited about and whether or not you're planning to pick them up. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you next time.